In this video, I'm going to share the $25,000 mistake that I just made on my latest acquisition. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Sunny and I'm a real estate investor based in Northeast New Jersey. On this channel, I share my experience as a real estate investor to help you start or grow your rental portfolio. Today, I'm going to tell you about a $25,000 mistake I just made on a triplex that I just bought and what I'm going to do about it to lessen the blow. On September 15th, 2021, we put a triplex under contract for $410,000. We didn't close on the property until December 17th, 2021. The reason it took 90 days to close is because there was an oil tank on the property and we had to get it removed. Most of that time was spent waiting for the state of New Jersey to send us an NFA letter. While we were getting that oil tank removed and waiting for our NFA letter, we were weighing our exit options. Our first preference was to assign the contract and wholesale the property to another investor. Our second preference was to buy the property, spend very little money cleaning it up, and then immediately relist it on the market. Our third preference was to buy the property, renovate it, rent it out, then refinance it into long-term fixed rate debt. Our fourth and final preference was to fix and flip the property. We believed with $140,000 worth of work, the property would ultimately be worth $675,000, which would make for a total gross margin of $125,000. Wholesaling that property while the sellers were still living in it was pretty difficult. We couldn't get investors into the building to see what it was actually like, so they were only making offers based off pictures that they could see. The best offer that we received from a wholesale investor was $450,000. Now, we knew that we could catch a lot more than that on the market, so we couldn't accept that offer. So we decided to buy the property with a purchase and construction loan. That way, if we couldn't sell the property immediately, we would be able to do the renovations ourselves, and then we could decide what to do with it later. We could either keep it or we could fix and flip it. To finance the property, we used a new hard money lender that was going to finance 85% of the purchase price and 85% of the renovation budget at 8.5% interest. Our renovation budget was about $145,000, so our total loan amount came out to $472,000. One day after we closed on the property, I listed it on the NJREIA Facebook group to see if any investors were out there that were willing to take it off of our hands. My Facebook post got a little bit of traction, so we decided to hold a showing the very next day. At the showing, we received an offer for $500K, and then a few days later, we received a signed LOI for $515K. Now, let me remind you, just a few days before, we bought this property for $410K. That's over a $100,000 gross margin. That type of spread is way too good to pass up, so we decided to move forward with that buyer. I immediately called my lender and I asked him to send me a payoff statement for $131.22 because I thought it would take a little bit more than a month to close this transaction. He was hesitant, and then he told me that he would call me back. I didn't think much of it at the time, but I knew something was wrong in his voice. When he called me back, he told me based on the terms of the loan, the payoff amount was going to include 2 prepayment penalties. The first prepayment penalty was 6 months interest on the purchase money portion of the loan. And the second prepayment penalty was 2 points interest on the entire loan amount because we didn't use any of the construction reserve. I closed my eyes and I asked him for the number, and he said it was just under $25,000. That was 25% of our total margin here, but it made sense. 2 points on $472,000 is about $9,500, and 6 months of interest on the purchase money loan amount of $345,000 at 8.5% interest is just about $14,500, which brings us to somewhere between $24,000 and $25,000 in prepayment penalties. So this was quite a costly mistake, but it's also not the end of the world. And here's why. If we can actually sell this property for $515K in the next 30 days, we stand to make a $65,000 gross margin on this one deal alone. Now, let's compare that to if we actually go forward and execute our business plan. So if we spend the $140,000 here over the next 6 months to completely renovate the property, our total cost basis here will be about $590,000. We believe that the property will then be worth $675,000. Now, that's a total gross margin of $85,000. But after you factor in the costs of the sale, that net margin is going to be closer to $65,000. So is it better to pay a $25,000 toll today and then make $65K immediately? Or is it better to save that $25K, do all the work, spend all that time, and then make that same $65K down the road? When you think about it like that, I mean, the answer sounds kind of obvious. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, but we already introduced our buyer to our lender, and we're trying to see if we can get our buyer approved for the same loan that we took, and maybe even transfer our loan to him so we can save on some of the fees. Now, I don't think this is going to happen just like that, but if we can reduce that $25,000 number even a little bit, it'll really go a long way. At the end of the day, the fact remains I made a $25,000 mistake by using a new hard money lender that didn't have as flexible exit options as what I'm used to. And it was in the fine print somewhere. I just didn't take the time to read it. If you want to know what happens after we end up selling this property and how we fared and what we paid in prepayment penalties and stuff, let me know down in the comments below. I'll make a video explaining how it all shook out. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it for you. If you want to watch more videos like this, please check out my real estate and business playlist. Finally, I put out a new video like this every single week, so if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I don't want you to miss the next one. All right, peace.